After almost 30 years, I finally have Amigas again. Now I just gotta get one of them working. If you've seen my recent videos and you know a friend recently gave me his old Amigas, an Amiga 500 and a 3000. Now I gotta get one of them working because I'm climbing the wall with anticipation. It's pretty clear that of the two Amigas, the 500 is gonna be the simpler project. The Amiga 3000 has had significant damage from the leaking battery, so I'm going to start with the 500 so I can actually use one of them. Don't worry, I've ordered parts for the Amiga 3000 and they've already started to trickle in. In a previous video, we took a look inside and found no obvious issues with this machine. We plugged it in, but we were only getting a dim power light and a solid colored screen, the color of which was undecipherable since we only have a monochrome composite connection. Someone suggested that just reseating the socketed chips on these machines will get them to boot, so I decided to power it up again to ensure it's still doing the same thing, and then reseat the chips. This time, instead of a dim power LED, the LED is flashing an error code. Looking online, I could not find a list of power LED codes for this machine. There are plenty of caps lock LED flash codes, which are codes for the keyboard's errors, but they should not be confused with power LED codes. The few codes I found people mentioning were not the same as I was getting. So, stumped, I decided there wasn't anything to do other than to go ahead with reseating all the dip chips. This trapdoor is going to stay off until this thing is completely restored. I don't want to be popping it off and on all the time. Same goes for the Zorro cover. I'm going to start with the big guy and work my way down. This one's not going to be fun to get out of here. Well, that came out easier than I expected. I'll add a little bit of deoxit in the socket. And of course, one pin was not lined up properly. I'll straighten it out. Let's try that again. Alright, that's better. Next up, the Kickstart ROM. Probably the last person who had this ROM out of the machine was me, or possibly Tom, some 25 years ago. After all the problems we had removing PLCC chips back in the day, I'm not going to pull the Agnes unless I have to. I hate pulling these stupid things. It is worth noting that this is an 8372A fatter Agnes that we installed to allow 1 meg of chip RAM games to run. As part of the mod, we also cut a trace here and changed this jumper to allow the RAM expansion to work as chip RAM. So apparently, this is a factory mod to deal with buggy Gary chips that came from Toshiba. I was glad to hear that because I had no recollection of doing this. And Denise is tight. More like I expected. That didn't sound right, you know what I mean. I think with deoxit, a little goes a long way. Yeah, I have half a mind to swap the CIAs, but I think I'll hold off. If I do more than one thing and it works, then I won't learn which action fixed it. So I'll go ahead and reseat everything, and if it's still not running, then I'll swap them real quick. I suspect I have a RAM issue anyways. Alright, odd CIA. Right out. Alright, none of the glue logic or RAM is socketed, so I can't reseat those. So, this is what I can do for now. Let's see what we have wrought. Hey, the floppy's clicking. Click, floppy, click. I haven't found a 2.04 Workbench disk yet, so let's see what happens with the original 1.2. I can't remember if you can go back to an earlier version once the kickstart's been upgraded. Okay, let's see. I'll grab the 1702 and run off the composite monochrome connector. In fact, I think I'm going to give the 1702 a permanent home on the bench, so here we go. Awesome, we're making progress. I've done a bunch of research on video connection options and settled on an open source scan converter, primarily due to its input flexibility and image quality. The OSSC and an Amiga RGB to Scart cable are on order, and the cable had to come out of the United Kingdom, so I may be waiting for a while. Lucky for you, with the magic of editing, you'll only have to wait a couple seconds. I'll be right back.
The Commodore Amiga 500 now comes with the exciting Batman package, or class of the 90s, the fun way to learn. Is he doing his homework or playing the Joker?
So while I waited for the scan converter to come in, I took advantage of the summer sunshine to do a little bit of light brighting. It's not perfect, but it's a big improvement for just a few days in the sunshine. Okay, the OSSC is here, so let's see how it works. This thing has a plethora of input and output options. There's far too much to cover here, especially when I'm still getting used to it. I'll plan on covering it in more detail in a future video. I chose the OSSC because it seems like a good companion to the RetroTink 2X Pro that I already have. It should allow for the largest variety of input signals to be output to HDMI for a monitor or to capture on my PC. So let's get it hooked up and see how the output looks. Yes, it's working. Time to load a game. Turrican was awesome back in the day, so I'll try that first. While I was shooting a couple of pieces of additional footage, I ran into the error codes again. Based on what I'm seeing, I suspect that the caps are borderline and need replacing. I'm also a bit suspicious with the ease that the Motorola 68000 came out of its socket, so I'll order a replacement for that as well. You know what they say, loose chips sink ships, or something like that? We'll have videos for you recapping this Amiga once the parts arrive. I also plan to take a look at the A501 RAM expansion next week to check for any battery issues, do any needed repairs, and install a coin cell battery holder. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check back soon for more work on this Amiga 500. I suspect that I'll be here playing games and checking out these discs for the next few days. There's an Amiga. There you go. Anything for a Commodore.